So, we've got a good opportunity this weekend to explore the relationship a bit between the second reading and the gospel. That relationship is not always very easy to see, but today it's certainly there. The second reading was St. Paul essentially summarizing the Ten Commandments. And he says that all of the commandments, and in fact all of the law, is in service to the simple idea that we are called to love one another. If you sincerely and honestly love others, you are good in the eyes of the law. You and the law of the land, you're going to get along just fine. And by contrast, a law that actively and directly inhibits our ability to live out love is a bad law. Now, it gets complicated very quickly with respect to controversial issues, because you have some people saying that a law defends love, and other people say that that same law blocks or destroys love. We're not getting into those issues today. We don't have time. I bring it up, though, because first of all, we've got to remember it is very easy for such things to become very complicated very quickly, especially in a society as divided as ours is today. But in spite of that, hopefully we can all agree that good laws create justice, and justice and sincere compassion go hand in hand. That's the whole idea. If we can't agree on that, then I think we're in a lot of trouble. I don't know where you can go from there. So that's the second reading, and the gospel essentially, more or less, answers how we are meant to go about that. How do we obey and enforce the law without losing our sense of love for one another? Jesus' answer is basically, comes down to good communication. Don't beat down or shame your brother. Try to win him over. If you have a problem with someone, work it out one-on-one, if at all possible, because that's the best way to resolve the issue while maintaining the friendship between you. If you need to bring other people in on it, only do so when it becomes clear that that is, in fact, a necessary step. But no matter what, do your best to resolve the issue with as much patience and respect as possible. And I think we all know how challenging that can be at times where patience and respect seem to be in paltry quantities, right? Let's do a little poll on that, shall we? A little informal poll. How many of you, at some point in your life, have worked retail or customer service in some way? You keep your hands up. Go ahead. Now, how many of you know the joy of being yelled at by an angry customer for something that wasn't your fault and something that was not in your power to fix? Yeah, nobody lowered their hand. It's like that's the job you sign up for. All right, thank you, you're good. So that is torture, right? That is pure torture when you're in that situation. And it's not like you want that person to walk away angry and miserable, but the interaction started off so badly you have no way forward. It's like they walk up to you, they start yelling at you, they take patience and respect, and they just push it off the table in their first go. What do you do in a situation like that? More or less, your best case scenario is to get rid of that person as fast as possible, which kind of boils down to giving them exactly what they want, or the closest thing at least that you have to offer. Fine, here's your refund. Thank you for shopping with us. But even when you succeed at that, that's not real justice. Okay? You don't go home thinking, I did some good job, I did some good work at my job today. No, you probably drove home depressed and down, you barely tasted your food, and then you crawled into bed praying to God that tomorrow is a better day somehow. That's one way that the world can become a horrible place very quickly. When we have laws and rules and regulations and policies and protocols, but no love, no real care for other people. Real justice does not exist without that genuine care for other people. Our ancestors, they understood that pretty well. People in the Middle Ages, okay, yeah, they could be cruel and violent in their own way, surely, but for the most part, they understood that real, perfect justice involves the consideration of all people involved, even when punishment, is necessary in some way. And I just kind of find it amazing that as modern-day people, we literally never think of things like that, unless, of course, you're in church or you're reading a book on moral philosophy, which was probably written centuries ago. People today, what is justice? Well, getting what you want at the expense of your enemies. Justice is when the judge says that you get the house and your ex-wife gets nothing. That's not justice. It's not justice because there is no love in that situation. So is it any wonder that the world today never seems to get any better for anybody, no matter how many new laws we create? New laws don't create goodwill, unity, and peace within a society. Only a loving spirit can do that, a loving spirit that's shared between as many people as possible. If that spirit of love exists within a society, over time they will create laws that foster true justice and go hand in hand with compassion. It's the love behind the law that is the active ingredient, not the law in of itself. It's the same dynamic within the church. You can know everything there is to know about your faith. Catholic dogma, authoritative doctrine, canon law. You can be a master at all of that and more, but if your heart has shrunk and shriveled to the point where no love can fit in there, your knowledge is not going to get you very far, and it's not going to generate true justice. Cold, uncaring order is the best you'll be able to manage, and even that is a bit of a stretch. No, it is when we love one another, when we see others as beings made in the image of God, that is when justice and progress become real, attainable things. If you want more proof on that, just look at the lives of the saints. We have very few saints who are celebrated for their knowledge, even though they were not particularly loving people. We got a couple of guys like that, but they're few and far between. But we have hundreds, if not thousands, of saints who were very poorly educated, but had gigantic hearts brimming over with love for God and neighbor. That is the final goal, or to return to our second reading, it is the fulfillment. That love is the fulfillment, not only of the 10 Commandments, but the law, the Beatitudes, and all of sacred Scripture, increasing the justice and compassion and love in the world as we carry on our journey of faith toward Christ and our heavenly homeland.